gallantly streaming, and the rockets right glad, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, and Ty Dillon looking to crash the Xfinity Series party, but there are a whole lot of regulars who are going to have something to say about that. 250 miles from Atlanta, next. We've done. That was another one.
Today, this place is exact.
I got you, Kevin.
I had
1, 2, 3.
97. Well, I had 97 on this.
See, you
Yep, test
had
1, 2,
the
3.
wrong answer.
I am.
I thought
Oh.
I misunderstood. I thought you meant alive in 97.
Oops.
She actually said born.
I don't know why I saw 97. It says 98. All right. Oops. We were wrong.
Bang.
Well, you know.
It's not like graphics shouldn't have figured that out.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The Rinnai 250 about to get underway as the pre-education and
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
FS1 welcomes you to Xfinity Series racing from Atlanta Motor Speedway. The weather is perfect, mid-70s. So let's meet today's guest driver analyst. 2014 Xfinity Series champ Chase Elliott, son of Bill, driver of Hendrick. And while most NASCAR drivers live in the Charlotte area, Chase still calls Georgia home. He visited an Atlanta Children's Hospital this week, and just an example of how he gives back to the community. So Chase is joining Adam and Michael up in the booth to call today's race. So basically, it's the pride of Dawsonville, Georgia, the pride of Evansville, Indiana, and the pride of Owensboro, Kentucky. I'm with the pride of Birmingham, Alabama. You guys have fun up there.
You got it, Shannon. It's like a tradition. Chase comes home to race. He joins us in the booth, and you were just on track. We're going to be nice to you. This track might not be nice to the drivers. What's the biggest challenge they face?
To be determined if you're going to be nice to me, but definitely a fun track. We talk about it all the time about just how rough the surface is, how wore out it is, and the amount of character the racetrack has is why we all love coming here. So it's a challenge. It's hotter than it normally is here at the end of February, so I'm really excited to see how these guys attack the racetrack and to see what it's going to give them back.
You know, as a kid, my biggest challenges were trying to slow down early on my tires. The tires were good. I wanted to go. These kids that are just racing here for the first or second time, they've got to take care of their equipment. How do you do that? How patient must you be?
I just think you have to see what everybody else is doing first. I think you're going to obviously pace yourself if you have enough speed on your competitors. Watch the guys who've been doing it for a long time and hope that you can settle in and find a good spot to run, and most importantly, be there at the end of the race to give yourself a chance.
A rookie is on the pole, 6 of the top 10 under age 25. A lot to manage this afternoon. We'll get going in a moment. First, trackside for the command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome today's Grand Marshal, Larry the Cable Guy.
All right. All right, folks, welcome to the Rinnai Xfinity 250 race. And if you ain't got a tankless water heater from Rinnai, then God help you. Drivers, start your engines and let's get her done.
Going green for the second time in 2018. We're live in Atlanta. Let's get geared up.
So here we are on pit lane. Got the root cami right there. Take a look at that scoring pylon. I don't know if you can see it, but we just won the pole. So that's really cool. It's Rude and Ream's backyard here in Atlanta. Great way to start the day. Hopefully we can cap it off in victory lane.
Hey guys, Chase Briscoe here. Just got done qualifying for my first Xfinity race. Looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Had a lot of really good Cup drivers helping me out. So looking forward to a race full of learning. Should be fun. Check it out.
The engines have fired. It's time to go green here at Atlanta.
One of the fastest tracks on the circuit.
It's going to be a great fight.
It's race day in Hampton, Georgia. NASCAR Xfinity Series teams racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the 27th time today. Two drivers making their career debut. One of those, Chase Briscoe, a young kid out of Mitchell, Indiana. Grew up in the open wheel ranks just like his dad, Kevin. But he quickly graduated to stock cars. He's an ARCA champion. Last year won in the Camping World Truck Series, and today starting 18th for Jack Roush at Atlanta. Let's go from the driver's seat and talk to Chase.
If we can get a word with Chase. Hey, Chase Briscoe, it's Michael Waltrip, Chase Elliott, and Adam up here in the booth. Do you copy, friend?
I guess left there, Michael.
Well, the last time we saw you in NASCAR, you were in a truck in Florida and you won. Can you win in a car in Georgia today?
We're going to certainly try. It's definitely been a big learning curve all weekend, trying to figure out how different these Xfinity cars drive. But Mike Kelly and all the guys at Roush and for us have definitely been working hard all weekend. So we'll try and see what we can do. I think a place like Homestead where the groove will move around a lot with loose tires. So it should be a fun one, and hopefully we can get up front.
Awesome. Hey, buddy, it's Chase Elliott. I had a question for you asking about just the biggest difference or the biggest hurdle from you coming in your dirt background to these stock cars. You've had a little bit of time under your belt now. What's the biggest thing you've struggled with, and how have you adapted to that?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the length of the race is obviously 30 laps in the sprint car. And, you know, these races are 200 miles, so that's been a big thing. And that's the biggest thing otherwise, other than that, the weight. You know, these things are 3,400 pounds. I'm used to 1,200 pounds, so they're a lot easier and a lot harder to make turns. So it's been the challenge, and today the biggest thing has been side force compared to the truck this it is. So hopefully learn a lot today. Let's finish off the lap.
Awesome, buddy. Y'all have a great day, and good luck.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
He's got the right car. Number 60, more wins in the history of the Xfinity Series than any other number. Let's go pit side and get Regan's wrap. Hello, Regan Smith.
Hey, Adam, thanks. So often when we come to a place like Atlanta, we hear crew chiefs tell their drivers, treat the gas pedal like there's an egg underneath it. Well, with 15 drivers making their first Xfinity Series start in Atlanta today, we're undoubtedly going to hear that a lot on the radio, but what exactly does that mean? I'm going to tell you what that means. That means if you treat this egg nice and gentle and roll into the throttle and are really smooth with the throttle, nothing's going to happen. But if you jump into that throttle and hit the throttle too hard, well, it's not going to work out too well. These guys don't want their tires or their race cars to end up looking like that later today.
You should have squeezed it in your hand. Come on, don't throw it on the concrete.
Enough, I tried to.
All right, tough act to follow, but let's hear from Jamie Little as well. Keep it clean down there, okay, Jamie?
No kidding. There's no eggs here. Well, Adam, as we've talked about, all eyes will be on Christopher Bell for this race. He's racing here in the Xfinity Series at Atlanta for the first time, but in the garage, word on the street is he is the one driver who could beat Kevin Harvick. I talked to his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe. He told me the way they can beat Harvick is running the top, and that car was good on the high side. He won from the pole in the Truck Series a year ago, hopes to make a 2 for 2 here today. Adam?
Interesting point there by Jamie. Low lane, high lane. Where do you want to be, and what dictates that, Chase?
I think some of it's by your car, right? You know, if your car is not acting right on the bottom and you move up the track and find some success, I think that could definitely be an option for you. In the past, it doesn't seem like it's been the case here this weekend, but typically you pay a little bit of a penalty by running the top too long. So I'm curious to see if he does get up there, how long he can make it last, and obviously we know who's going to be at the bottom all day. So
10 races, 2 poles. That average is pretty good. He takes the low lane for the start. Listen in to the 20 team.
And they take away that top seam and above it, you're going to have to be able to move around. So you got to make sure you got tire to get it done when you need to.
Even turns 3 and 4?
Yeah, we actually run a bunch up top in 3 and 4. Majority was definitely bottom down that end, but we did spend a lot of time. So there's a groove there. I think the bottom's still going to be the ticket.
And you know, I think, Adam, one thing I'm going to be watching really closely, and the competitors will as well, this initial start. We've not seen that outside groove be able to get going at all on the starts. And if it comes down to a late restart, these teams will want to be down on the inside. How do you manage putting that power down, Chase, and getting going up there? Is it that difficult?
I think you're just trying to lessen the damage. So we had a pretty fast Napa Chevy last year, started second to Kevin on at least 3 or 4 restarts last year in the Cup race, and it's so hard to get going and stay even with him. I mean, if you can even just stay anywhere on his outside, even if it's at his back bumper, I think that's a victory in itself. So these cars might not have as big of a time doing that as the Cup cars with the added power, but I do think it'll still be tough.
Watch this start, because it could mean big repercussions later in the race.
And these are the tires they qualified on. They have some laps on them. That means a lack of grip. Pole sitter Christopher Bell inside of Joey Logano, both looking for their first Atlanta win. Second race of 2018. We are green here in Hampton, Georgia.
Well, just as I say that, I was proven very wrong.
Well, that looked a lot different than I thought it would as well.
Definitely. He did have some help. Cole Custer guy had a great start too, so anytime the guy behind you is going to bail you out, that never hurts either.
Logano outside lane jumps to the lead as we head down the back straightaway.
Here comes Cole Custer diving to the bottom.
Stages 1 and 2, 40 laps apiece. I got to believe that helps these young guys managing the long run, gives them an out, if you will.
I think so. It gives you at least another opportunity to work on your car. And if you are having a bad run, you're going to get bailed out before you could potentially lose a lap or get too far behind. So, man, Christopher Bell's car looks good. A little free, but I was surprised he jumped to the top there in 3 and 4 on that first lap. See what he does here. There he goes.
He's just looking for maybe some fresh air on the nose of that 20 car. Look at him get loose there. Wow, sliding off turn 4. That's not the way you take care of your tires in an early run.
And that's the tough part. You know, he was talking to his spotter. I think Tony Hirschman is also Kyle Busch's spotter in the Cup Series. So very experienced. Kyle did run a lot on the top of the racetrack in our Cup practice a few minutes ago, which I think, you know, if anybody would know, he would.
Back behind these guys, just outside the top 10, the 19 of Brandon Jones. He's now 10th, actually.
Wind's a lot stronger right now than it has been all weekend, even a lot stronger than it was in your qualifying this morning. Blowing from the backstretch towards the front. If it hurts you at all day long, probably you'll see the most effect exit of 4. Okay, 10-4.
Chase, how valuable is that information? Does your car move around when the wind's blowing and you need to put in your mind that it might not be the setup as much as it could be just the conditions?
I think it's kind of racetrack dependent. This place is so slick. You know, there's so many other variables going around with no harder than the wind is blowing right now. I would not pay as much attention to the wind, I don't think, as maybe some other tracks. As you go other places and the car is stuck to the ground more, I think you can probably get a better feel for the wind because your variables are lessened. But here, things are so slick and everything you do has such a big impact on how your corner is going to unfold. I'd be hard-pressed to blame it on the wind.
There's the driver to watch. We saw the 98 of Kevin Harvick. He'll be a player, and Bell announcing his presence as well. Outside lane around Logano, P1 for the 20.
He is. He's on it, man. That outside sure does look good in 1 and 2, and that 20 car is fast. So I'm curious to see how the longevity of it is, and then see just how long it takes that 98 to start working his way forward.
And in the perfect situation, Bell will find himself with the lead, being able to creep away from Logano, and then that's when he starts rolling off the throttle and taking care of that tire. Is that right?
Well, I think that's exactly what he's doing. He worked the high side to get around Joey right there, and you could see as soon as he got the clean air, back to the bottom, try to save those tires and make it last.
How about this interesting mix inside the top 5? I mentioned Harvick on board here. He's 5th. Has won more races at Atlanta than anyone else in the Xfinity Series. In fact, the only driver entered that has been to victory lane. Just in front of him, John Hunter Nemechek had never been in an Xfinity car prior to practice yesterday. Great qualifying run. He's 4th. We mentioned Custer, Logano, and obviously Bell, who's leading this thing. You want youth versus experience. We've got it in the top 5.
Let's just go back to 6th and 7th as well then, Adam. Yeah. Kyle Benjamin. He's up in the 6th position. Elliott Sadler, the most experienced racer in the Xfinity Series, he's back in 7th. So those stories are throughout the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to give a shout out to both John Hunter and Kyle Benjamin, 2 guys.
There it goes, John Hunter. Harvick just gave him a shout out.
He did. That was a big shout out. Well, I was going to say, you know, John Hunter and Kyle Benjamin both I have a bit of a background racing with them in the late model world, and both have pretty good experience and a pretty good amount of success. But this was a heck of a run by Kevin. Had the bottom working, rolls right up to the back bumper. You don't even have to touch the guy to get him out of shape. And I think John Hunter's a little freer than he wants to be.
Look at that save. I mean, that thing looks like it was gone. And look, here's the interesting thing, Chase. Watch John Hunter. He thinks he's running the bottom, but he's not.
Right.
Kevin finds a way to get a half a car length even lower than John Hunter was.
So what was the reaction for the kid making his debut? Here's Team 42 audio.
I don't know what that was all about. He just about wrecked us. Yes, he did.
Mike Shiplett, you heard there on the radio, has done an outstanding job with the group at Chip Ganassi Racing. This car went to victory lane 5 times last year with 3 different drivers, and he's obviously got John Hunter very fast here today. And with him sliding back, look who's jumped into the top 5. You mentioned him, Michael, that blue 18, Kyle Benjamin, 20-year-old out of Easley, South Carolina. You see him leading this group here.
That's just a great job of that young man. Every time he qualifies right up front, has great runs. Not a lot of experience, but certainly an impressive young racer.
Oh, he's making the most of his opportunities, and that's what you have to do. He doesn't have many, in that kind of equipment, but I think if he keeps running like he is right now, there's no reason why he won't. So definitely doing a great job.
Talking about the kids, the old vets coming to the front. Airs contact and trouble. Cole Custer goes around.
That was a big hit. Wow.
That's unfortunate.
There's Elliott Sadler in the blue number 1. Contact for John Hunter Nemechek. Innocent bystander Cole Custer, hard crash and likely done for the day.
It's just tight racing. We talked about the lack of grip. Aerodynamics play a big role in that. Cole gets down low, gets a little bit loose, shoves John Hunter up, and Elliott was there.
I think Elliott had such a big run coming from the outside, and I feel like John Hunter saw him coming. He didn't have enough room to get to the middle and give both of those guys that they both had a run on him, but Elliott just gets him a little bit there in the back bumper, and unfortunately Cole had no choice with the grass below. You can't get into the grass with these cars because of the front splitter. It's that's a day end or two, so kind of have to pick your poison.
And we talked Chase a whole lot in Daytona about all the bumping and also blocking that was going on down there. The 42 car, John Hunter, he was just out of control. He slid up in front of Elliott, and Elliott simply couldn't slow down that quickly. That wasn't blocking, that was just racing.
I think so too. I mean, you look at the back of his car looks free, and anytime somebody gets close to your bumper anywhere on the racetrack, it's going to make you uncomfortable, and I think that was the position he was in right there.
2 words I heard in the garage this morning: tire management. That will dictate what happens here under caution. Let's hear from John Hunter.
You guys are a little anxious here early. I mean, didn't run into where that was on the inside. I'm sorry. No, you're good. It's just he got you loose up off before, and then the one got the run up top. That's why I was saying outside. The run was coming quick, and then he just got you free and just came down back into his nose. Nothing you did wrong there.
So let's go back to the strategy portion of this early caution. Larry, I said it, tire management. So what are these guys thinking? Do you dare pit this early?
Well, Adam, remember, there's only 4 sets of Goodyear tires laying in the pits, and we still have a long way to go. We know you're going to want to set at the end of stage 1 and stage 2. You have to have at least 1 set during that 83-lap run at the end. Yeah, tomorrow, if this was the Cup race, Alan Gustafson would be telling Chase, bring it to me for 4 tires. Way too early to waste a set of tires right now with only 4 laying in the pits.
And he wouldn't have to tell you more than once, right?
No, I think I'd be telling him before he even said anything to me there. You're definitely right. But these guys have a game to play with the limited amount of tires, and it makes it tough. The biggest thing is you have to have them at the end of the race or you're out to lunch. So I'd rather bite the bullet now than later.
So first start for Nemechek, and I would say the learning curve has been on high, Regan.
Yeah, the one thing that you have to learn when you're a new driver is new spotters. He's working with a spotter that he's never worked with before today. The other thing that they told John Hunter just now on the radio was to cool his tires down. So that's a sign, guys. You're not going to see anybody on pit road here, like Larry Mack just said. They got to save these tires. And I talked to every crew chief up and down this pit road today. They all said the same thing. Unless we have something really bad happen in the first 40 or second 40 laps, you're not going to see us on pit road till the end of those stages.
And Derek Nealon is on the spotter stand today for John Hunter Nemechek. He's one of the best, works with Larson on Sunday, so he understands what this place is all about.
And is there enough damage to that left rear tire there on the 42, Chase, you think, to cause them issues? I noticed the Goodyear was rubbed off of it.
Could be. Definitely a question. I'm sure they're going to be monitoring that as the caution goes. Those tires are, you know, they're asked a lot out of them, you know, and to have any type of contact is definitely concerning. So we'll see.
Leaders are staying out. 13 laps in at Atlanta. Bell, Logano, Harvick, Benjamin, Sadler, your top 5. We're under caution. You want a chair, Chase? It's under caution early here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And a reminder, tomorrow as we get set to go back green, everything is moved up 1 hour due to rain expected to hit Hampton, Georgia. Race day on FS1, noon Eastern time. Our pre-race show on Fox starts at 12:30. Green flag for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 shortly after 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's all on Fox. Aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. Those who live up to their names make one for themselves. Goodyear, more driven. We'll go green next time around. First, let's hear from drivers talking about how challenging it is to race on the surface at Atlanta.
Track surface at Atlanta, it's old, it's rough, it's slick, bumpy.
When you come here, you got to really focus on balance over the course of the long run and really take care of your tires from start to finish.
It's so easy to beat yourself into driving hard at the beginning.
Tire management, having a set at the end of the race to be able to maybe have a late restart and make a run for the win is going to be key, and it's going to be crucial to having a good day.
Anything you two drivers want to add there on what you just heard?
I sure would like to have a set of tires and nobody else with about 5 to go.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't care where you start me, Adam. I'm going to win the darn race.
Okay, we're getting ready for the restart. And on the initial start, Logano took the lead away. What's the 20 team thinking here?
When everybody was on the bottom and you got back to the lead, you were still beating those guys a little bit by rolling speed through the center, but they were able to out-wrap you and a little bit better drive off when they started making ground up. So may have to sacrifice a little bit of center roll speed. I mean, not much, just the fuzz to keep the fronts attached and keep the line wrap going there. Keep me aware of where they're beating me, how they're beating me.
Isn't it cool the details Hirschman was going into there. I mean, wrap in the center, that means following that yellow line. I mean, you know all the lingo, but it's so technical, the information you get from your spotter.
It is, and you're talking about such tiny margins of error. I mean, you can be off the line by an inch and completely mess up your entire corner. So let's see how this outside lane gets going this time.
Watch row 2 on the restart. Kevin Harvick inside has won here 4 times. Outside is Kyle Benjamin. He has 6 career starts in the Xfinity Series. Green once again.
He doesn't drive like it.
No, he doesn't. Trouble on the restart, though.
But, Adam, that makes perfect sense. He's never done that here.
And look at Harvick. Inside lane, 3 wide, 98 to the front.
He made the most of what he had, that's for sure. That was a great restart. Utilized the bottom. Got Christopher a good shove, and more importantly, helped himself.
And look at that car that slid up into the 4th position, the 9 of Daytona winner Tyler Reddick. This is a good early run for that team.
Those junior motorsports cars have shown me something early that I didn't know existed. They struggled a bit in practice yesterday, but Sadler has been strong, and you mentioned it, Tyler Reddick doing some positive things as well. Let's look back at the restart.
Yeah, rolling to the line. I think I might have jinxed Kyle a little bit. I thought he's been doing a great job. It's just so hard to get going in the outside lane, and I think he was going to try to roll up to Joey and give him a good shove, and really give Joey a lot of credit for having the restart he did without any push behind him.
Go on board with Kevin Harvick. This ought to be entertaining to watch.
This is going to be incredible. A good push, like Chase said, and then you flare off of him.
I think he might have given Christopher the indication he was going to continue to push him, and once he opened that lane, it was all bets off.
I get the feeling watching Harvick early, he's sick of hearing about all these young, talented kids in the Xfinity Series. He's here to let everyone know this is still my house, huh?
It is, man. He does such a good job here, and you know, now that he's out front of this race, I think these other guys are really going to have to be aware of what's going on and watch his pace, because he does a great job of doing his own thing and making the race his.
Only halfway through our first stage, and Cole Custer already out of the event, Jamie.
And he started in the top 5, was battling for the top 5 when the accident happened. What happened from your vantage point?
I have no idea. I mean, the 42 was kind of missing his marks a little bit. He looked like he was pretty loose, so I got underneath him, and all of a sudden it looked like he got sideways going on the front stretch, and he hit me. So I don't know exactly what happened. I was just kind of riding at that point and trying to take care of my tires, but yeah, I don't. We'll see, I guess. I guess the one hit him, so I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why he was racing that hard. That one was early in the race, but it sucks for us. We had a pretty good awesome Mustang. We'll keep going there. We'll be good in Vegas.
Frustrating end of the day for Cole Custer. Meanwhile, Daniel Hemrick, pole last week at Daytona. He made a nice move there. Inside of 3 wide, he's up to 6th.
And you know, Adam, this is a driver that I look for a lot out of in 2018. He had a very strong car down at Miami and had some mechanical issues with it. I think the RCR fleet is going to be stronger this year, and I just believe Daniel Hemrick's going to win multiple races and race for a championship.
I definitely don't see why not. Daniel's a guy I've done a lot of racing with over, again, some short track history with him, and I know how talented he is. I know what he's done with the equipment he's had over the years. He is an extreme overachiever, and this racetrack is right up his alley, much like Homestead Miami was, with this wore-out surface and really having to be patient and run your own race. So I expect him to have a good, solid day, and would not be surprised to see him keep moving forward.
Bell on the move once again outside of Logano. That's for 2nd. You know, you talk about Hemrick, and most would have said last year was a down year for Richard Childress Racing. They didn't win. But despite that, Hemrick is a rookie that gets to the championship 4 and had such an amazing season, kind of defying the odds when you look at what that RCR group was up against in 2017. What do you have for us, Regan?
Adam, we see Joey Logano losing a spot right there, falling back to 3rd position. He's complaining about his race car being really loose in and off, but he also took note that Kevin Harvick can carry a lot more speed into the corner than he can. These guys all day long are going to be comparing themselves to Kevin and looking at Kevin's car for what they want their car to do better.
And you know, Adam, if you try to run the bottom like Kevin and he runs away from you, you got to do something different. And I think that's what most drivers struggle with. They try to hit that Kevin Harvick groove. and then all of a sudden they look over and Kevin's lower than they are. And Christopher Bell has decided that he's going to take his car to the outside, run around the top. Logano's still committed to the bottom, but look at Bell. There's a lot of speed up there. I think, Chase, we all try to determine, is running up high hard on your tires? Does it burn them off faster, or is it worth the gamble?
I think it's tougher on your tires personally, at least come race time. You know, I think you bring up a good point, because Kevin does run the bottom better than most anybody. But when you do have a car, maybe in Christopher Bell's case, that might be better than Kevin Harvick's today, what are you going to do when you get there? Because you know he's not coming off the bottom. So that's when you do have to take a bit of a gamble and maybe move around and try to find something different.
Hemrick into the top 5. Goes inside of Tyler Reddick. Going to bring the 42 of John Hunter Nemechek with him. Backside of the top 10. Seeing some good things for Ryan Reed. He was solid last week at Daytona. He's 9th. Ryan Truex in the 10th position. Kevin Harvick leading at Atlanta. Have you ever heard that phrase before?
Kevin Harvick's line around Atlanta is different than anybody. Honestly, I don't know how he does it. He doesn't abuse his tires. He doesn't abuse his brakes or his equipment.
He's able to maneuver his car where he wants it to be, but always get back down to the bottom.
I feel like we've been able to hone in a little bit on what he's doing. Driving his line, we're a little bit better than we would be driving a normal line.
I know I'm not the only one in this garage that studied how he does it, and hopefully I can apply that in the race.
I heard Harvick say this week, came here for a tire test in 2008, figured some things out, and it was kind of magic ever since that time. And drivers try to emulate it. It's impossible to do, isn't it, Chase?
Oh, it's possible. You can do it. It's definitely tough to do. You know, I think there's a few factors that go into that. Yes, he's really good at it. He has a great feel for the line. One thing that you do have to be mindful of is if you lay up against the apron too much, you can wear out the left side of the splitter, which then by the end of the day can become a problem for you too. But it's possible. It's very tough to do. He does a good job of making his car drive like it needs to drive so that he can do this all day long. That's very important to make sure you achieve that on Friday in practice so you can do it in the race. It's not just about showing up in the race and doing it then.
And I think when you talk the last couple of days about drivers that could compete with Harvick, top of the list, probably Joey Logano.
channel 2. You hear how early that 98's lifting for turn 1?
Yeah, copy that. Sitting right here, I don't know that he's carrying that much more speed down in there. I mean, he's just lifted really early. Do you think he's any shallower? Like, does he not have any arc at all?
I mean, he's lifted literally, I heard him earlier before. He definitely hooks the line a little bit earlier.
If there was a hashtag trending, it would be Kevin Harvick's line, because everybody tries to figure that out. John Hunter Nemechek, we talked about a possible tire problem. Regan, why are they coming right now?
Yeah, guys, they hit pit road right here. They're going to do 4 tires. Not really sure if he's got a tire down or not. A little bit early for this stop.
Yeah, 7 laps to go, stage 1. Certainly would have wanted to make it last because he will lose a lap. Also had Jeremy Clements come down pit road. He had an uncontrolled tire. He'll get penalized, Regan.
Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek's right front tire comes off. It's absolutely shredded. We see that a lot on the first runs here at Atlanta. A good job by him to diagnose it.
And Michael Annett having a tire issue as well. There you see the remains of that right rear. We stay green as of now. 6 laps to go in this opening stage.
You'd think that would eventually bring out the caution.
Annett has now made his way onto the pit lane. Keep in mind, these are the tires that we qualified on earlier today, and crew chiefs were really concerned about the longevity. Left of your screen, Kevin Harvick putting Spencer Boyd a lap down to the 76. And there's the caution.
They found it.
Second one of the day.
That'll be a bit of a break for John Hunter, I think. I think he only lost 1 lap. Get back in position to get that free pass and back into contention.
You want points at the end of the stage, but you also want to gain track position at the beginning of stage 2. Larry McReynolds, what game you playing here?
This is a tough call because you got to believe we're only going to go back racing maybe for 1 or 2 laps. I just believe if I'm here to try to win this race, I'm going to go ahead and come to pit road, and we know that's what Kevin Harvick is all about. But I got to believe we're going to see a lot of those Xfinity Series regulars hang out there and try to hang on for a lap or 2 and collect those stage points. This is totally a chess match right here.
And I'm not 100% sure that we will get back green. 4 laps to go. They make their pit stop. You'll have 3 to go. It's not unprecedented to just have a 1-lap shootout to end a stage, but it could come down to that here.
Teams are poised and ready to hit the pit road and get 4 tires, but I'm with Larry McReynolds. I think these teams that are racing for an Xfinity championship stay out, get stage points. Logano, Harvick come.
Free pass to Michael Annett. He was the first car 1 lap down at the time of caution. That's significant to point out. Good for John Hunter Nemechek, who could probably, if everyone comes here, take the wave around and play a little strategy, knowing the caution is coming in just a few more laps with a stage end. Last thing we should point out, a change to pit procedures in 2018. Only 4 guys servicing the car, plus the fuel man who can only fuel the machine. A lot of fuel, only 2 tire stops last week. We know they're getting 4 here. We'll see what role that plays. A number of them coming down. Logano stays out, Harvick and others getting service, Jamie.
And many of them, including Elliott Sadler in the 1, Christopher Bell in the 20, and Kevin Harvick in the 98. Harvick's the only one I've heard on the radio say the car is good and getting better. Christopher Bell, 2 loose. Sadler needs help on exit. Regan?
Daniel Hemrick heads into the pits with his race car. He's been good through turns 3 and 4, but he's getting killed in turns 1 and 2. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, take 4 tires fuel, and send him on his way. Adam?
The stop for Harvick, 15.5. You can't ask for any more than that when you're getting 4 tires, fuel, and perhaps an adjustment. In the 18-second range for Sadler and Bell, that's about what we expected.
These things could be all over the board, Adam, with these teams learning how to adapt to these new rules.
Ryan Reed with a nice jump. His crew doing a good job. 4 tires. He goes up 2 positions on that cycle of stops. We know that Joey Logano stayed out. So did Ty Dillon and Austin Cindric. And when they come around, there'll be 2 to go. Big questions on if we'll get back green or not.
I would guess we would possibly get 1 to go here and have a 1-lap shootout.
I hope so.
And if you ever wondered how important these tires are,
you're about to find out.
that we saw these teams taking. If we get a one-lap shoot-off out, you're going to love what you see.
There is no doubt.
Wow.
I think this is just a product of, you know, the first run of the day. Obviously, the track does have some rubber on it, but these guys may be pushing a little harder than they even think they were to have tire issues. And I would, you know, for it to happen at the exact same time, I don't think it was just all coincidence.
So why would you stay out in this
Why?
situation? Why would you stay out? Let's find out the reason for the 22 team.
I like this move. All right, man, that should be interesting. Obviously, the guys are going to have a couple laps in their tires, so we'll come in and get forward and work on it here. That's what I like about it.
Well, I'm glad he's optimistic, because I guarantee you I wouldn't be.
This is going to be fun. One lap of chaos, I think, could be what we see here.
I think so.
Daniel Hemrick had some issues when he came down pit road a moment ago. Going to restart 15th.
I think another thing, too, we have to add about these pit stops is with the limited amount of men you have going over the wall, it's very important to have your car driving good, because even a minor adjustment of a jack bolt here or there, you know, a round in the right rear, round out the left rear, that's adding a substantial amount of time, way more than it did before. So I think guys who are happy with their cars as the day goes along, to make minimal amount of adjustments on pit road, they're just going to continue to have fast pit stops.
Love that. Kids in the grandstands watching their favorite racers go at it. Chase, as a driver, we talk a lot about the new procedures on pit road, the slower stops. How does that change your game? Do you just have to sit there and think that this is taking forever because you've never felt stops this slow?
Well, it definitely does feel a little bit slower. You're still going off the same visual cues, but I think now more than ever, very important to make sure you hit your mark coming to pit road. With the tire changer carrying his tire, you have to make sure you're on the money.
Restart with Logano on the front row. One lap shootout to end stage one. Top 9 cars stayed on the track.
Joey with a great restart. I think he's going to be maybe not all that tough to get to. Kevin Harvick already to second place. Wow.
Harvick on those fresh tires from like 10th to 2nd off of turn 2, and he's going to find a way to win this stage, I believe.
Oh, it should be no contest.
Look at that.
Wow.
He's bringing Christopher Bell with him. Ryan Reed there as well. How much do tires mean? That much. Stage 1 belongs to Kevin Harvick.
And the back of the pack was that chaos we talked about. They were 4 wide, slipping and sliding.
Wow. Had a great restart, executed it perfectly. Things worked out for him.
That was awesome.
Harvick wins stage 1. Bell was 2nd. Reed, Logano, Reddick, the top 5. Back to Atlanta after a break on FS1. Stage one is complete here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Kevin Harvick who gets the win. He led 23 laps. Joey Logano finished the stage fourth.
Well, tires are worth a lot, huh? Wow. Copy that.
You know, as much as we were looking forward to watching it, Adam, I think Joey Logano wasn't so much looking forward to experiencing it. And in the back of the pack, them being 3 and 4 wide, just crazy racing.
I think it's pretty safe to say he's coming for his tires ASAP, if not sooner.
The question I'd have is the one lap shootout that we had there for those drivers that did come down pit road, what's their fall off going to be on the next run? Because Logano and others going to have much fresher tires, but no track position. Here they are, Regan.
Yeah, we got a lot of cars on this end of pit road hitting the pits right now. The 3 car of Ty Dillon hits the pits. He's going to get 4 tires and fuel. Hasn't said a lot about his race car yet. The 12 car of Austin Cindric, he's going to hit the pits. He has been loose all day long. Wants his car tightened up just a little bit, 4 tires and fuel. And Joey Logano, loose in and off of the corners. He said to work on the entry more than the exit. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment for that car, as well as a wedge adjustment. Adam?
All those cars stayed out. They made up the top 10 on that restart with 1 lap to go in the stage, and only 3 of them finished stage 1 inside the top 10. Bell, one of those that pitted at lap 37 just before the stage came to a close. He rallied back to second. A good opening stage for the kid out of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Christopher Bell, this is PRN.
Well, I think we were going to go to him. It sounded like he was busy.
Sounds like, yeah, they had the same thought process we did. I said Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's Norman, Oklahoma, but a lot of success in Tulsa, winning the Chili Bowl the last 2 years.
All right, we'll try again. Hey, Christopher, Chase Elliott in the FS1 booth. Got me?
I got you, Chase.
I mean, it looks like you have a strong car there today. I'm just curious if you feel like you can keep up with Kevin, A, and B, do you think you have enough pace around the top to get around him if you do keep up with him?
Well, I was struggling pretty bad there at the first stage. So hopefully we got this thing a little bit better, but the top definitely has speed in it. It's just a matter of tire wear, as you well know. So I definitely think the top's fast. I don't know. We'll just have to see how this plays out. I think I'm just going to try and follow him for a little bit here on the bottom and see where I stack up.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you.
Thanks.
That runner-up finish is big. After crashing early last week at Daytona, he needed to get some points back. He gets 9 there in stage 1 with that runner-up finish. About ready to go stage 2 here at Atlanta for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So look at our Ford Performance track facts. Last repave here, 1997. Second oldest asphalt surface when you look at the Xfinity Series schedule. The oldest, Auto Club, will be there in a few weeks' time. We go to Southern California. And the Roush Fenway organization, the all-time wins leader here. 7 times they have been to victory lane at AMS. So the opening stage goes to Kevin Harvick, but I'm looking at those drivers that stayed out at the end of stage 1 and then came down pit road once we got that caution. Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Ty Dillon, they're going to restart 21st. Going to be fun to watch them try to make their way back through the field.
Just like it was on that last restart, you're not going to believe the action back in the pack because, Chase, you guys don't worry so much about one lap on the tires. It's the cycle, getting them hot and cooling them off. That takes grip away.
It does. I don't think that one lap is going to hurt them all that bad personally. I think the biggest fact is they lost all their track position, right? So, Joey goes from being solidly inside the top 5 to now, back of the field. I don't think it's going to take him long to get back, but still, that puts you at a bit of a deficit mid-race.
I raced in that race in 1997 here, Adam. Jeff Bodine set the track record over 197 miles an hour. Were you in that race, Chase?
I was 2 years old, Michael, if you were wondering.
You're good, you know that?
Well, his daddy was in it.
Leave the stats to me, all right?
Yeah, darn it, I know better than that.
Harvick takes the inside lane. Bell outside, stage 2, off and rolling.
I mean, Bell didn't match Harvick's pace on that restart, but he got a decent start up there.
Yeah, good enough to get him back to second here, and I think talking to him on the radio there a second ago, I feel like he wants to fall in line here, try to conserve some tire. We have a long ways to go yet in this stage, and look at Joey Logano already around the outside. He does have that extra lap, fresher tire, so apparently it's worth a little something.
21st to top 10. This reminds me of the opening of the race last week at Daytona. Unapproved changes to the rear, and he went right to the front.
And I want to say thank you for last week at Daytona. You guys were very entertaining out there on that racetrack. What an amazing event that was.
It was so much fun. I had a blast. Joey and myself and Kyle there throughout that second stage. I mean, we were racing hard. I mean, it was, you could tell none of us were holding anything back, knowing that we had no points to gain. I felt like we were just kind of let things loose a little bit last Saturday, so we had a good time.
It looked like you were on vacation out there, you Cup regulars.
Yeah, it was, well, I wouldn't say vacation, but it was still fun, and to race, those are 2 great racers, 2 guys I enjoy racing with. They get it, and they know what they're doing. I felt like we all knew kind of how hard we could push it on Saturday, and those cars were in the track, and it allowed us to be pretty aggressive and maybe not the smartest moves from time to time, but we were willing to take the chance.
Good restart for Harvick. You look left of our screen here, but Bell not letting him get away.
Yeah, and I've noticed Kevin didn't run the dead bottom of the racetrack the last couple of laps in 3 and 4. You can see that's a perfect exit right there. Watch how long he lays on that yellow line leaving turn 2. That's how you want to do it. The gap increased, but he's been off a little bit in 3 and 4 for some reason.
I don't think it'll take him long to find it again, but I do think, as Christopher has closed that gap, he's getting to a point now where that aero advantage that Kevin has being the lead car is going to start giving Christopher a bit of an issue. So to me, I think about that distance and anything closer, he might have to start searching around, and that's just a decision that he's going to have to make is, hey, is my car that much better than his where I can move up the racetrack, find a new lane, some fresh air, get the pass done in a timely manner to get back to the bottom and still have some tire left to make the rest of the stage.
The run continues for Joey Logano inside the top 5. Back behind him, battle for 6. Tyler Reddick into white number 9. The 11 is Ryan Truex.
Ryan doing such a great job. He very deserving of his opportunity as well, I think safe to say. So, wow, a little nudge from Justin Allgaier, but still doing a great job and making the most of his opportunities, which is always great to see.
First time we mentioned Justin Allgaier inside the top 10 today. All those junior motorsports cars starting to find their way. We had the tire issue for Michael Annett, but the other 3 Allgaier seen here. We popped Tyler Reddick, and Elliott Sadler's up inside the top 5. He's 5th right now.
How about a little 7-Eleven? What do you think?
That works sometimes, and other times the Slurpees are not on sale. Look at that.
Wow.
It doesn't take much. I think that just goes to show you, how on edge the tire is with the racetrack and how little grip there is. Even going down the straightaway, the cars are light, and when you have some extra push or something that's not typically there, might give you a little bit of a problem.
What about Ryan Truex? Top 10 last week at Daytona and really doing a nice job of tackling Atlanta this weekend, Jamie.
I think he's feeling right at home with this brand new team. He's full-time this year with Colleague Racing. Last week, though, he said he did not believe that this was actually his team and his car until he got to the garage. 19 in the wall, guys. Brandon Jones coming down pit road.
And a daring move to get to the pit lane. How close was that?
Wow, closer than I would have liked it. I mean, it made me nervous up here watching. That was bold. I mean, this was as bold a move as you can make when it comes to getting to pit road. That was impressive, or not. I'm not real sure which one.
Was running 13th and then made the move down with that right front tire issue, Michael.
Oh, man, he just barely ducks inside. That was a great move. Was that Ryan Sieg that was able to jump to the outside and miss Jones? Wow.
That was a heads-up move by him coming in behind him, because that could have been ugly.
Hey, we documented Joey Logano coming through the field after making that pit stop into stage 1. Ty Dillon doing the same thing. He restarted outside the top 20. 3-car in the 9th position. Top 5 with 25 to go in stage 2. Harvick, Bell, Logano, Reed, and Elliott Sadler. .61 laps in here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick has led 42 of those. He's out front of Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, Elliott Sadler, Ryan Reed. Just past halfway in our second stage. It was Harvick who won that first stint of the race, and a good battle in that back portion of the top 10. Ryan Truex in the 11, Justin Allgaier in the 7. Perhaps a little too aggressive at this stage. Listen in.
What a punk, man. Why did he have to do that down right in the middle of the straightaway? He knew we were better than him. Dude, that was about big. Go ahead and go over and lead this thing. Nice and smooth on your tires, dog.
That's the movie he was talking about there, dog. And I got to tell you, these two aren't done yet either. They've found themselves sharing the same part of the racetrack throughout the mid stages of this race. And Chris Rice, the crew chief on the 11 of Ryan Truex, he didn't like the way Justin was driving.
What's his body language down there, Jamie? He appears to be on the chip.
He is on the chip. He's very animated. That is Chris Rice we're speaking of. But his driver, very cool, calm, and collected, just saying all race long, basically, that his car has been tight. And he said, especially this run, we're tighter in 3 and 4.
Here comes 7, Jamie. He's back to the 11. That's a great example of how differing lines can work here at Atlanta. Truex saw the 7 diving low, just decided to go up the hill a bit.
Brandon Jones had that issue a moment ago, unscheduled pit stop. What's the story there, Regan?
Yeah, Adam, we saw Brandon Jones shoot up the racetrack and make some slight contact with the wall. The tire went down before he hit the wall. That caused him to go up the racetrack. Not exactly sure what caused the tire to go down yet, but had to come in and get 2 right side tires to fix that race car up.
He scored 34th, 1 lap down. Allgaier gets by the 11 of Ryan Truex, and Ty Dillon able to drive by in the 3. Here is how that pass for position happened.
That's just good racing there. We saw it earlier when Harvick got up on Nemechek. You're going to make that car loose when you're that close, and Allgaier's doing a great job running that very low line. Truex up a bit, and the door opened.
That's what we were talking about. It takes nothing there in the center of turns 3 and 4. You know, an inch or 2 off the bottom, and it's going to end up coming out to be a couple feet by corner exit. So good discipline by Justin Allgaier. Maybe his car is working a little bit better than Ryan's right now, but I think as the run goes along, that's where you really see the guys start to shine who have their cars set up to drive off the bottom properly.
And as we know, it's all about the long haul, getting some green flag laps in here early in this second stage. And Allgaier's now found his way up to 6th as he goes around Ryan Reed, and gives some credit to the 16 team. They're enjoying a nice afternoon. And I want to go back to John Hunter Nemechek. He had that unscheduled pit stop, lost a lap, was able to get the free pass at the end of stage 1. When that caution came out, has worked his way inside the top 15, making his debut. He's had a lot thrown at him, and so far doing a nice job handling it each and every time.
He's earned his keep, that's for sure. That was you know, if you're going to have a problem, obviously you'd rather have it early on in the day enough to where you have time to rebound. And I think that their car is fast enough this afternoon, and he's a disciplined enough guy right now to be able to work his way back forward, and he's doing just that. So curious to see where he ends up.
Ryan Truex back to 9th now.
I think I know why the 7s race me so hard. You don't have to run into me. Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. Nice and smooth, man. We still in stage point. Stay with it here. 16's backing up to you, and a 9. Stay with it.
Said Truex is back to 9th. Look who's behind him. The 12 of Austin Cindric. Huge disappointment. Wrecking out 10 laps into the season opener at Daytona. Driving the 60 last week for Jack Roush. This weekend in the 12 for Team Penske. Solid effort. Another Ford out front. It's Kevin Harvick dominating this thing. He's led 49 of 68 laps. Whoop.
that was all about. You just about wrecked us.
You okay, buddy? Yeah, I'm fine. You just lost it on the straightaway.
Guys are a little anxious here early. Fellas, let's have some fun to win a race.
Well, tires are worth a lot, huh? Wow.
Been an entertaining first half of the race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, NASCAR Xfinity Series. Racing here for the 27th time. Kevin Harvick leading in a Ford. And there's a Ford running back in the 14th position. Chase Briscoe, one of the two drivers making their Xfinity debut here this afternoon. Good effort for Jack Roush.
You know, I thought when this race started, Chase, this young man would race forward. He's a dirt racer. This place is all about slipping and sliding. He's done a nice job.
He has, and I think as he, I heard him talk earlier about how different these Xfinity cars are from the trucks, and he spent most of his time here in the NASCAR world in trucks. So curious to see how he works out this afternoon. I'm sure he's learning as the day goes along.
Nemechek also making his debut. Talked you through what's been a wild start to the race for him, but he does now find himself back in the 15th position in contention for a great run. Matt Tifft behind him changed teams of the offseason from Joe Gibbs Racing, where he made the playoffs as a rookie a year ago, over to RCR.
Nice job, too. Just steady and consistent. Another kid that's doing a great job, our Daytona 2017 Truck Series winner, and that's Kaz Grala. Kaz is with this team, only his second Xfinity start, top 5 at Daytona, and I'm more impressed today with what he's doing, running in the top 5 along with that cat chasing him, Ross Chastain.
Chastain, a top 10 run in the season opener last week, driving for Johnny Davis. JD Motorsports putting 2 cars inside the top 10. Ross, who was 9th, and his teammate Garrett Smithley, who had a career best top 5 run at the World Center of Racing.
Adam, watch this. Kevin Harvick, right? He's led the most laps. He's driving away from the field. He's dominating. But watch his hands down in the corner. Watch this man go to work. And Chase, that's awesome. He's 3 wide in traffic, and he's using his feet as much as he is his hands.
He is, and he has a nice, comfortable lead right now. So, working through that lap traffic, he's in no rush to, have anything happen that he's not looking for right now. But he does a great job, a lot of discipline, but he's disciplined with speed, and that's the difference. A lot of guys stay disciplined and give up a lot of speed to do that, and he certainly doesn't. So,
would you think the key to maybe this car's success is how much he's turning right? Like when he's getting on the gas, it's almost driving it with the back tires.
He's driving it with the throttle for sure, and I think that's part of the racetrack being old and wore out. When you do apply gas and you go to put power down, the back tires and the back of the car kind of wants to come out from underneath you at times, and he just has a good balance of what he's looking for with the front tires, amount of wheel he wants to put in. He doesn't put too much wheel to where he gets himself in trouble. But coming to 1 to go here in stage 2.
Yep, he puts Alex Labbe a lap down. Alex in 19th, running for Rookie of the Year honors.
Canada driver down here making his way in NASCAR, and I bet he was thinking, why does Kevin have to be in such a hurry? He only needed 1 more lap to stay on the lead lap.
He's been dominant here, Kevin Harvick. The 4 wins, more top 5s, top 10s, laps led than anybody in the Xfinity Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and padding the stat line here today. Stage 1. He's going to do the same in stage number 2. Back to the line, it's driver 98 P1 once again. Second to Christopher Bell. Joey Logano going to finish 3rd after restarting the stage in 21st. Sadler in the top 5, so is his teammate Tyler Reddick. Others in the top 10, Justin Allgaier, Austin Cindric, Ty Dillon, Daniel Hemrick, and Ryan Reed. Halfway home at Atlanta Motor Speedway, it's the Kevin Harvick Show in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Here's something new, Chase. On this date, February 24th, 1932, land speed record on the beach in Daytona. The U.S. men's hockey team won the gold. And when they upset Russia, remember, do you believe in miracles? Yes. This no miracle. Darrell Waltrip, a winner. He was so solid. Now, this may be more of a miracle. Michael winning for the 3rd time in his career.
Yeah, but look at the hair. I mean, I don't care how many races you win. You walk around the hair like that.
If I had that hair, that would, in fact, be a miracle. Stage 2 is done, and I got to believe everybody comes down pit road here. And by my calculations, each team should have 2 sets of tires left. You set here and hope you get a late caution so you can come one more time. Harvick leading them down, Jamie.
And you see Joey Logano sticking with that plan as well. Well, Christopher Bell in the 20. Little tight center, free on exit, needs it to turn a little bit better. A 4-tire stop with an air pressure adjustment. Elliott Sadler in the 1, about 20% too tight through the middle, and an air pressure adjustment in 4. Kevin Harvick, it's his Cup crew pitting him. They were the class of the field. Last stop, 15.5 seconds. It's a 4-tire stop. Regan?
Joey Logano comes to a stop in his box. They fixed the entry and exit for his race car. Now he's a little bit too tight middle. They're going to make a small adjustment with the air pressure in the wedge to try and correct that. 4 tires and fuel, and he'll be on his way.
15.5 last time for Kevin Harvick. This time 14.4. Logano at 15. And the other 2 drivers we looked at there in the 16-second range. These pit crews doing an unbelievable job here today. Harvick holding serve. He'll be the leader when we go back green. Let's dial up old 98.
Hey, Kevin, it's Michael Waltrip up in the FS1 booth. Do you copy?
I got you there, big buddy.
Okay, I got a question. Everybody talks about the Kevin Harvick line. All the spotters are telling their drivers do what Kevin does. We see what you do. What part of the puzzle aren't you telling us? How are you able to get away from the field like you do down there?
Yeah, you know, and Ken Schrader used to make fun of me because I compared Mesa Marin to a lot of the racetracks where you have this type of line, but I grew up racing on a half-mile racetrack that had a lot of the same characteristics that we use here, and that was how I survived, was making time on the bottom of the racetrack, and for whatever reason, it's worked here and a few other places. So our Hunt Brothers beat the Ford has been good and fun to drive so far. So hopefully we made it a little better there, because I know everybody else will get better, but it's definitely been a place that just kind of fits what we do.
Well, it's been fun to watch, but are your arms tired? I'm seeing you work those arms, work your feet. It's just an amazing poetry in motion to watch. Look at you go.
Well, Mike, you know, as you get older, you got to spend a little more time with yourself, so everything's good in here.
I like what you're doing out there. And Ken Schrader still makes fun of me, by the way.
Well, Ken Schrader makes fun of everybody, so, but he's fun to be around, especially after the race is over and you can have a few beers.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. Finish her off.
Him dancing in the car, you know what that reminded me of? Chase would agree. Dancing with the Stars. Maybe he's got a future like you, Michael.
you, Shady.
So last week's winner, Tyler Reddick, currently running 5th. We've already introduced you to the driver. Here's the crew chief, Dave Ellens. He was born in 1981 in Michigan, graduated from Clemson, so he's a Tiger, Larry McReynolds. Started working in NASCAR in 2001. He spent some time at Hendrick Motorsports, working with Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson, then of course made the move over to Junior Motorsports, won the Xfinity Championship last year with William Byron, and was in victory lane last weekend.
So let's take a look at today's Midas Driving Trust. Dave Ellens, there you see it, he's with the 9 team of Tyler Reddick. 5th driver to win a race with Ellens as a crew chief, and that was his 3rd win at Daytona. And Adam, today is his 99th career start as a crew chief in the Xfinity Series.
And his driver going to restart in the 5th position. Harvick out front, Logano 2nd, then it's Christopher Bell, Elliott Sadler, and we're going to hold him one more lap, which gives us the opportunity to pay off. Alex Labbe, under this caution at the end of stage 2, gets the free pass, going to restart 18th. That is huge for a kid that's running for rookie honors and is not used to competing on these types of racetracks. And the reason we're not going to go green, problems for the 24 of Kaz Gralla.
I talked about the solid run Kaz was having on the lead lap, ran in the top 15, lost power on his number 24 car, getting a shove back to the garage. Hopefully he can get it squared away. Every lap these rookies can get, Chase, you know, it just makes them better next week, and you don't want to go out early if you can avoid it.
Yeah, you definitely want to stick around as long as you can, try to learn as much as possible, and I think you just have to really put a whole race together and get some laps together and put a run, a whole tire run, and see where your car goes to try to better your chances when you come back.
One of those young guys, Tyler Reddick, what do they think down there in the 9 camp, Regan?
Yeah, I'm sitting here with Dave Ellens right now. Dave, we just highlighted the success you've had over your career with a number of different drivers. Another young guy to work with, Tyler Reddick. How's things going for him today out there?
He's doing a really good job out there, making a lot of passes and taking care of the tires really well. So we're looking forward to the end of this race. He's done a really good job managing the long run. So we're excited to see where it comes out.
That's a beautiful number 9 car. Nationwide's Children's Hospital is on it, and the Butterflies, great initiative Dale Jr. and all that team does for Nationwide.
Everybody going to have to pit at least one more time.
When you do that, Chase, you going to wait and wait and wait and have fresher ones at the end, or are you splitting this run in half?
I got to think you want them later, right? I mean, you never know about a late race restart. I'm going to want them when the time comes that it matters. So
Gonna be
Harvick leading us off.
75 to go. Let's crank it up from Atlanta.
Run to your bumper. Still one inside at your door.
Great jump off the restart once again for Kevin Harvick. Logano falling in line in the 2nd position. Then it's Bell, Sadler, and Reddick in the top 5. Todd Dillon starting to do a nice job here in this race. He's found his way to 6th. John Hunter Nemechek back up to 7th. Allgaier, Hemrick, Kyle Benjamin the top 10. Allgaier, Dillon side by side here. A few laps ago, this happened.
Whoa. You can see a nice move to the inside by Ty. I don't know how much Allgaier appreciated that move because it looked like live he tried to sort of run him up, getting in the corner. Nearly backfired. That 7 car got loose.
He did that. You know, we've seen that a lot today, though. Guys that are able to stay disciplined, have their cars driving good, and drive off the bottom like that, man. It's such an advantage late in the run.
On board with Chase Briscoe. Working that high lane on the restart.
Somebody leaking something at him?
Hard to tell, but it sure looks like it.
I bet it feels like
on that onboard camera there.
I bet it feels like that every lap, right, Chase?
It does here, that's for sure. There's no rain today, so it's definitely not the weather.
Briscoe back in the 17th position.
Allgaier's had an eventful day, hasn't he?
He has, man. He's been working, I feel like, very, very hard for where he's at, but you know, making the most of what looks to be a not so great handling race car. Not what he's looking for, at least.
Austin Cindric in the 12, in the top 10 with Daniel Hemrick, and just behind them, 18 of Kyle Benjamin. He's been hanging around all day.
And Cindric, we talked about at the top, Adam, he got off to a rough start down at Daytona, and how important for that young man, Chase, is to turn that all around here at Atlanta. This has been a very impressive run.
It has, and kind of an interesting lineup as to how he's, you know, ran last week in the 60 car that Chase Briscoe is driving today. This week over at Penske, driving the 12. So kind of interested to see how his year goes along, because surely there's going to be some differences from one race team to another. Different personnel, cars maybe drive differently. Could definitely play into his hands is to maybe learn a little bit more than some guys that potentially would typically just drive one race car all year.
Chase Briscoe appears to be learning quite nicely. To the inside of Spencer Gallagher, that's for position. Briscoe up to 15th.
Just behind those guys, Dylan Lupton in the top 20, doing a good job in that 28 car. He had one of the darndest saves in Daytona. Practice started, hadn't run 5 minutes, and he was backwards down in turn 3, kept it out of the wall. No, it got his attention, doing a nice job here.
Battle for second is good. Bell working the high lane, trying to get around Joey Logano for the runner-up spot. He appears destined to do that with 67 laps to go. 2 sets of tires left, I'm guessing, for all these teams, Larry. How do you manage the latter stages?
Well, actually, Adam, I've been sitting here figuring the same thing, and we know you have to pit at least one time during this final stage. You can run to about lap 138, which is about 25 to go considering when they pitted. That's how far they could go on fuel. But I think as a crew chief, I'm going to try to split this run up. I'm going to come somewhere around lap 123 to 125. That's going to be roughly 40 to go. I'm going to pit then under green, and then what that will do, that will leave me a set in case we have a late race caution. Because trust me, once 1 or 2 drivers comes to pit road under green, no matter when you do it, it will start an epidemic. Everybody will have to follow.
How much does number of drivers on the lead lap impact that strategy, Larry? Right now we've got 18 drivers that are on the lead lap.
Yeah, I don't know that it really does, Adam. I don't know even if we get down to 10 drivers on the lead lap. I still think my thought process would be to split this run in half, about 38 to 40 laps a run, and then still have me a set laying in the pits in case we get that late caution.
And I think that makes perfect sense. The math works on that, but I guarantee you somebody will do something different. And that's what makes stage racing and these stages so exciting and so interesting.
It does. And another thing, too, I think that's important to bring up. I think Larry brings a good point. Splitting the run, we saw that become a pretty popular choice last season. We do have to keep in mind that pit stops are longer than what we had last year, so you're giving up a little more time than you typically would have seen before. And as we say, as you pit, you know, and the guys are still out front, you're leaving yourself exposed, so we call it. So the potential for a caution coming out and hurting you, you have, you know, more time to make back up because your pit stop's longer.
That pit stop for Harvick last time under caution, just under 15 seconds. Quickest pit stop we've seen all year in any series. Great battle here for 5th. Tyler Reddick and John Hunter Nemechek. The 42, 11th on the restart. He continues to show speed, battling through some adverse times today at his first ever start. I think he's going to be a nice addition part-time over at Chip Ganassi Racing. Just over 60 to go. Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, Elliott Sadler, and Nemechek, top 5. Time in 2018. We're live at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Those who live up to their names make one for themselves. Goodyear, more driven. 57 laps to go. Kevin Harvick has led 86 circuits here today. Joey Logano in the 3rd spot. And when you look at those two race cars, you've made an observation about their splitter, and that helps indicate the line they're running, Chase, right?
Yeah, it does. So we were talking about this earlier, and this is an important piece. I feel like we always talk about how great of a job Kevin does at running the bottom, and I do think there is a little bit of a double-edged sword when you get down there. You can get too low. We look at Joey Logano's left side of his splitter, and he's wore it basically off there for the first few inches towards the center of the car. Now we pan over and look at Kevin Harvick's in great shape. Now we always talk about how Kevin runs lower than everybody else. There is such a thing of being too low, and as a race goes along, that can end up hurting you. As you wear that splitter off, that can become a bit of an aerodynamic disadvantage. Very important to keep that splitter intact, and I think that, again, it just goes to show you how good of a job he does of driving on that yellow line, but not being so close to the apron where he's wearing out the splitter.
You know, he was flexing his muscles during the stage break there to us on Fox. Watch him flex his muscles, still working those arms. This is a workout here at Atlanta. All the crew chiefs and people down in the garage area say that they want to make sure you drivers are ready for this race because it's challenging.
He might be getting a workout, but he's working the field over here today.
If they get into a green flag situation, you know, try to leave us with a couple extra laps, better tires than they have.
Yeah, 10-4, we've got our chart in front of us. We know where we need to be there.
An indication they would short pit to get all the good they can out of the tires, and we kind of heard the strategy there a little bit from Kevin Harvick. What about Joey Logano, Brian Wilson, and the guys in the 22, Regan?
Well, they keep working on that car, Adam, and he's really pretty happy with it. He's just a little bit snug at the 2/3 mark of the corner. That's just past halfway through the corner. Otherwise, not a lot of complaints on the radio from Joey. One thing he did ask on this last run at the start of it was, give me an update every 5 laps. And Chase, I know for me at a place like Atlanta, I always like to know when I was 5, 10, 15 laps and so on tires so I could try and manage those. Is that something that you'll want tomorrow in the Cup race?
Yeah, I think more than anything, you just want to know, maybe an update as to what your competitor's doing. I agree with you, Regan. I think knowing kind of what other guys have going on, understand maybe where you're getting beat, and you're working so hard inside the car to hit that bottom, the laps can click away faster than you may think. So I definitely agree with you. Keeping a good close watch on that definitely doesn't hurt anything.
What can you add to the conversation, Larry?
Well, I'm going to go back to what Kevin Harvick was telling Richard Boswell, his crew chief. And I think the thing I was reading into that is when you've got a lead like he's got, which I know fresh tires could take that lead away in a hurry, is they can kind of wait it out a little bit. They can kind of see it's pit road. And then, of course, when they pit, they will definitely have a little fresher tires than guys that make a stop a lap or two before them. That's what I kind of read into that.
I agree, Larry, and the visual evidence of that was earlier when guys pitted with just 1 lap on their tires and came back out, and they had 1 lap fresher tires. They were able to charge through the field. Harvick has a big lead. He can afford to let everybody else pit and then come get his service, so he's got better tires.
We've been talking a lot about Harvick and Logano. It really puts into perspective how good the guy is in between him. His first Xfinity start here, 10th of his career, and Bell has been with him every step of the way, Jamie.
He really has. They've made the car a little bit better for him. He has veteran crew chief Jason Ratcliffe has stepped down from the Cup Series. Of course, he's been working with Matt Kenseth on the Cup side. He's now calling the shots for Christopher, and he just told him about 1 lap ago, hang tight, buddy. I know you're loose. We're going to bring in 5 to 10 more laps. He knows there's 2 sets of sticker tires waiting for him.
And he's still got a chance to win this thing. Last time Kevin Harvick was in the Xfinity Series last year at Darlington. He won stage 1. He won stage 2, but finished 3rd in the race. It's not over yet. laps to go for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Kevin Harvick leading the way. Bell, Logano, Sadler, and John Hunter Nemechek, your top 5. Chase Elliott with us in the Fox booth. And anytime you come home, I know there is some added stress because there are so many obligations. The most important thing you do is the work with your foundation. We got some cool shoes here. What's that all about?
Yeah, we do. So same program we did last year. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta has been really just a pleasure to work with, be able to work. My foundation's still pretty new, so I've been able to work with them. Had some children from the hospital. We picked some winners. For me, I got 2 pair of shoes this weekend, so I'm wearing 1 of each. My teammates Alex, William, and Jimmy are also wearing a pair of shoes that some kids designed from the hospital. These shoes will be auctioned off over, I think we have 5 more days left on our auction. So we raised a good amount of money last year between the folks buying the shoes and then great partners like Napa, Kelly Blue Book, and a lot of my partners actually here in Atlanta. Hooters, another one here, to match the funds to raise some money for the hospital.
And for more information, you can go to your website, chaseelliott.com/foundation. So many opportunities for fans to get involved there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're new at it, so we're working at it, but this has been a great starting point. Credit my mom a lot with a lot of what she's done. She's always kind of had the relationship with Children's. They have some great hospitals around the Atlanta area. Great kids, and was able to go spend some time with them a few days ago, and we get to have them and their families out here this weekend, so looking forward to a fun day with them.
I'm definitely bidding on these. I like the style of them, and I like helping out.
All right, good.
Thank you for being here, but also thank you for giving back. You're doing so many good things in that regard, Chase.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for taking the time to show you guys what we have going on.
And that wasn't me saying goodbye. You got to stay for the final 42 laps.
Hey, I wasn't going anywhere anyway, so don't you worry.
I think that probably more often than not, Justin Allgaier's been side by side with someone. He's been battling all day long. He's in a tussle here with Ty Dillon. Dillon's broken away from him a bit, though, but solid run for Allgaier.
Bell second, and probably at some point going to be coming down pit road here.
I'm a little concerned about that right front, so I may end up just splitting this stage, or maybe 5 laps longer than splitting it on this end of it, you know?
Yeah, copy.
Better safe than sorry if there's a concern, right?
Well, and I think, and I'm sure you agree, Chase, this tire wear will get better. These sticker tires that they qualified on this morning, then started the race on used tires, now putting the rubber on the road, the Goodyears will just continue to improve the wear.
They will, until you have a situation where you either have some rain or something to wash off the rubber that's laid on the racetrack as the race goes along. You know, even you see where Christopher's running, you know, right up against the wall. Guys have been running that lane throughout the weekend now. So if you come look at the racetrack before a weekend, it's very gray. The bottom might have some rubber, but that's really about it. And you are taking a pretty big chance by running an outside lane, say, for the majority of the race. Well, now guys have been running it all day long. So the tire issues that we saw early in the race from guys maybe moving around the racetrack and pushing the limits probably aren't going to be there anymore. We have some rubber down, and that typically fixes the problem.
But when you're a crew chief and you've seen blown tires already, it certainly makes you think about the decisions you make about when to come to pit road.
Well, and nobody knows better than Christopher as to how hard he's pushed his car, right? So if there's question on the pit box from Jason Ratcliffe and he doesn't know exactly how much tire is left on their 20 car, I think that's where Chris has got to be able to chime in and say, hey, I've been either hard on the right front this run or I've been hard on the right rear. I might have an issue if we run a whole lot longer, and I think that's where they're talking about maybe splitting this last stage. You know, we did see Kevin here a few years ago. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals did short pit them in the Cup race, was able to get out in front of them, and once he was there, it was very hard for Kevin to get back by, and I think that's what Kevin was trying to guard against when he was talking to his crew chief a few moments ago.
The green flag stop's underway, Jamie.
And Elliott's out a little tight in the middle, but he said he doesn't want to free it up at all, so just a 4-tire stop here. Regan?
42 car, John Hunter Nemechek hits the pit road. His car's been pretty good. He's going to go ahead and get 4 tires. The 9 car also hits pit road. Tyler Reddick, his race car's been tight. 4 tires for him as well.
A lot of pressure on these teams. What could be the final pit stop of the day under green. One hiccup here, and it could very well take you out of contention. Kevin Harvick stays out. 37 to go. Allgaier in, James.
And he's had a good day going. Just saying he's been lacking side bite. He said it since the drop of the green. A 4-tire stop, and they'll fill him up. Regan?
Ty Dillon doesn't really know what else he wants. His race car is good. He just needs track position. They're going to hit pit road, give him 4 tires and a clean pit stop.
Good luck getting track position today with Kevin Harvick in the field, right?
It's going to be tough ask, but
Hit this time.
Well, he's just going right to the plan here, Adam. He said he wanted to run a couple more laps than anyone else, make sure no one traps him a lap down if the caution flies, and Kevin Harvick will come to pit road.
And the score box left of your screen doing a great job of showing you where everyone is and keeping track of those who are making pit stops. For Harvick, he comes down 35 laps remaining. They've been good today. Got to do it here, Jamie.
A 4-time winner at this track in the Xfinity Series for Kevin Harvick. High overhead, looking down on his crew. They have gotten it done on the first 2 stops, getting some reps in for tomorrow's Cup race. They worked the left side of the car. A 4-tire stop for Kevin Harvick. The gas man, you saw him put his foot on the tire. They are allowed to do that, Adam.
His last pit stop, under caution, was the fastest we've seen so far in 2018 in any series. They looked really good there under green.
4, 3, 2, 1, right here.
Logano stayed out, but now he will come down pit road. 34 laps remaining. Harvick gonna circle back to the top spot. Here's the 22 heading your way, Regan.
Yeah, Joey Logano hits pit road. He's still very happy with his race car, just a little snug in the center of the corner. They're going to adjust on that. He's the last of our leaders to pit. Let's keep an eye on if his lap times fall off less later on in this race because of that.
Penalty, Ty Dillon. Over the wall too soon. That will hurt under green with just over 30 to go.
And Chase, you saw Logano come to pit road. He maximized that entry. I guarantee he made up some time there. Saw the right front tire smoking. You couldn't have done it much better than Joey did.
Well, you definitely couldn't have pushed it a whole lot further, I think, than he did. You know, Kevin, it looked like he was a little soft coming to pit road, but that's the difference in leading the race and not. You have to be mindful of your position. Kevin obviously knows he has the race under control. Just 34 laps to go this afternoon, and continues to control the race.
Could be the final pit stops of the day. 34 laps to go. Harvick, Bell, Logano, Sadler, Nemechek stay the top 5. What a great day of NASCAR here on FS1. All started this morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We'll wrap it next following the Xfinity Series race. We'll make a trip into the Race Hub studios. Then it's back here to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Camping World Truck Series racing for the second time in 2018. You want to give us a little preview of what we'll see, Michael? You'll be on the call of that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a story much like this race. A veteran in Kyle Busch trying to hold off a bunch of determined young racers that have a lot of speed. The speed I saw from a couple of those trucks, Justin Haley, Noah Gragson, they can match the pace of Kyle Busch, but will his experience wear them down?
Harvick leading with 28 laps to go. Christopher Bell less than 2 seconds behind. 1.7 or so is where it's been staying, but he had a 6-second deficit prior to pit stops. They came a couple of laps earlier. They are doing a nice job of staying in the game. Might need a caution, but he's right where he needs to be.
And how much is that teasing young Bell, Chase, to see Kevin Harvick, who's been so dominant all day, be on the same straightaway, see him up there and try to eat into that deficit?
Could be an issue for Tyler Reddick. He just dropped from 6th to 7th. What are they saying, Regan?
Yeah, Adam, the guy's just jumped up on the wall. A lot of concern here. He thinks he might have a right front tire getting ready to go down.
Boy, that'd be tough for them. They've been in the top 10, top 5, good portion of the afternoon. Great job of backing up what they did, the win last week at Daytona.
A great job to be able to identify if indeed he does have a tire problem, to be able to know what issue you have and be able to identify it directly to the right front corner if he does have a tire going down. It's pretty impressive. And coming to pit road, obviously you're giving up a great deal of track position and potentially a good finish, but it beats the heck out of tearing up a race car. So you got to pick your poison there too.
And Chase, I was talking about the 98 of Harvick and the 20 of Bell as we watch John Hunter Nemechek come off turn 2. Great top 5 effort by this kid. How much you think Kevin, with that big lead, might be saving tires and everybody else is just wide open trying to go get him?
I think it's definitely safe to say Christopher's pushing it hard. As we see the 9, he must have that right front going down like we talked about. Right rear, looks like. But hate it for those guys. They had a good run going. And
a lot of debris here. Question becomes, will we get a caution? And if we do, that could change things. These teams do have 1 set of tires left. And if the caution comes out, it'd be big for Reddick, who undoubtedly is going to lose a lap here when he makes what could be a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, I'd say this is going to have to bring out a caution, don't you? I mean, a lot of debris coming off the right rear there down the back straightaway. And then, if so, then what do you do with just a handful of laps left?
Only 13 cars on the lead lap right now. Got to believe you would come down and get tires. There you see the debris flying off, but all of it staying down on the apron out of the racing groove. He's coming your way, Regan.
Yeah, he hits pit road right here. As we see, a lot of right rear damage to this race car. Tough break. He's had a really strong run following up on the win at Daytona last week. They're going to go ahead and get that tire on there and send him back on his way.
That's why you want to win. He's locked into the playoffs, and while this is disappointing, much easier to swallow knowing that he's going to go to the postseason when we reach September.
Definitely a big helper for sure. Hate it for him. I know they're disappointed too, but to have that win to fall back on, certainly nice. And he knew he had some tire problem going on, whether it was right front or right rear. He was on to something.
I think Harvick's being mean here because Bell's is hanging right around 1.3, 1.4. I get the feeling we get inside of 10 laps to go, he's just going to explode away. He's just hanging the carrot right out there in front of him.
Well, and Bell's taking it too because he's running some of the fastest laps on the track right now, closing in on Kevin. And you know, you don't know about that veteran, what Harvick has left in the tank, and is he indeed just saving those tires and waiting for the laps to wind down? This is getting interesting.
The other part of this that's getting interesting, and Regan talked about this, Logano pitted a lap later than Harvick. He's gone from 5 seconds back to 2.5. He's got a little rally in him here, Chase.
We're going to find out real soon. It looks like, you know, Christopher is running the top side in 1 and 2, so that you talk about that desperation, I think it is setting in, because we all know that the outside lane, or at least to Kevin's point and what he's proven today, can be a little more hurtful on your tires in the long run. So Christopher has no shame. He's running the top, letting it go, and you know, he has nothing to hold back now. 20 laps to go. These guys still have another set of tires laying in the pits for a late race caution, so they're in great shape.
See the graphic there. Harvick's led 120 laps today. When you dominate an event like this, how does your mindset change as you start to close on the checkered flag? Is there some added pressure maybe?
Well, I don't. For Kevin, the amount of experience he has, you know, I think that he really knows how to, as we talked about earlier, how to make the race his, how to set the pace, how to run just exactly how hard he needs to run to keep that lead. And he knows where Christopher's at. He can see him in the mirror maybe for a few more laps at least. And I think that as the race goes along, he's going to do absolutely no more than what he has to. They're in, no rush to have a bigger lead. They have 2 seconds on Christopher, so he's in great shape.
It's been a true team effort for the 98 group. Stewart-Haas Racing with Biaggi, Dinbesti. 3 pit stops today, 2 under caution, 1 under green. And in each cycle, that team was the fastest. 2 of their stops, all of them 4 tires, coming in under 15.5 seconds.
But watch this lead. You talk about a good driving car. It doesn't look like it's that great. You can hear him working that gas pedal. That's his style, though, really working that wheel.
It is, and we just talked about how he's not going to do any more than he has to. He's backed off his pace significantly, almost 3 or 4 tenths of a second looking at the lap tracker right now. So, we might see those guys gain a little bit on him, but I don't expect it to last very long. But he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Has his corner backed way up. He's out of the gas while he's even still on the straightaway, floating in the corner with very little brake, a lot of part throttle, and making those straightaways as long as possible.
Reddick had his problems. That's allowed John Hunter Nemechek to get up into the top 5. He's 4th right now.
Nice job. He just continues to march forward after those problems early.
And now the battle for second.
You said it, Chase. Christopher has turned it all loose. He's running an inch off the wall through 1 and 2.
And there definitely could be some time there. I don't know, with 17 laps to go, I think as the groove works its way up higher and higher in turns 1 and 2, there is speed to be found when you are right up against the wall versus a foot off of it. So now that groove has worked closer and closer to it over a course of a long green flag run, there's probably has been some time to kind of get the marbles worked away. So, he might have some pace. Again, I think Kevin has backed off for a couple laps. It looks like this past lap he started to get back after him with a 33.39 versus Christopher's 33.80. So he's, again, pacing exactly how he wants to.
Kevin just got around Matt Tiff, putting the 2 car a lap down. So the lap traffic that he's catching is getting more and more tougher to get around because of the pace they have. So that could be a factor too. But right now it's looking a whole lot like cruise control.
You agree with that, Jamie? What are you hearing?
Well, just talking about Kevin Harvick in this 98. First time we've seen him in this car. This is Biaggi Dinbesti Racing. If Harvick wins today, he will tie Tony Stewart for most different teams to win with here in Atlanta. RCR, KHI, and Junior Motorsports. Yet keep in mind, this is a part-time team. They're only scheduled to run 12 races this year between Chase Briscoe, Eric Almirola, and Kevin Harvick. And Kevin will be in this car in 2 weeks in Texas. They're skipping next week. So being a part-time team, pretty awesome if they could take home the win today.
And you go back a year ago, that whole affiliation that they have developed here with Stewart-Haas Racing, Biaggi Dinbesti. Stewart-Haas was a startup when we began 2017. Cole Custer has an incredible rookie season, dominates the finale down at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and now in year 2, running this second effort, and I think they have found speed. Great effort by everyone over there that's put in so much time.
And they deserve it, and I think Kevin deserves a lot of credit for that. He did own his own race team at one point in time. He has a great feel inside the car. He's a smart guy outside the car as well. Has a great business mindset on how he goes about things, and as far as putting the right personnel in the right place. And it seems as if they've done that with their alliance with Biaggi and Stewart-Haas. I think that it's turning out pretty good for him so far.
And it was certainly cool to see Cole Custer just do all he could to suck all the information he could from Kevin Harvick, and just be a sponge, watch him drive around the racetrack, but more importantly, talk to him about how he drives around it.
You wonder if he hadn't been involved in that early accident, how things might be different. Cole Custer really good here in practice yesterday, unfortunately involved in that crash and unable to get the fruits of his labor. So we're down to 12 remaining. Only 10 cars on the lead lap. Harvick now 2.5 seconds in front of Bell, Logano, Nemechek, Sadler, the top 5. Allgaier, Cindric, Kyle Benjamin, Ryan Truex, and Ryan Reed, the other cars that remain on the lead lap.
Austin Cindric has done an amazing job today. recovering from a disastrous start to the season, solid run. You run 7th at Atlanta against this competition, Adam. I think you go to Vegas, go to the rest of the schedule thinking, I'm going to win one of these things.
Brandon Jones, good debut last week with his new team, Joe Gibbs Racing, has had some frustrations today, and he might be glad when his home race is over. A little slide there through the corner.
This place can be a lot of fun, but man, it can also be a handful. If your car isn't driving right, or what you had studied up on, or just aren't hitting it right as a driver, whatever it is, it can make for a long afternoon. We brought up a point a second ago. I didn't realize that Chase Briscoe is also going to be driving this 98 car at one point in time throughout this year, similar to what we've seen with Austin Cindric in the 60 last week, driving the 12 this week. I've never really seen that dynamic of drivers sharing a car and then going to a whole different team to run extra races throughout the year. So I think it's definitely fair to say we should keep an eye on both of those guys and all the drivers that are sharing seats in that 60 going elsewhere to run other races, how they adapt in other situations, what they can learn and then bring back to the 60 car to maybe get them going a little better.
3 drivers going to share the 60. Cindric, who drove it last week, Briscoe here today. We'll also see Ty Majeski, who made a few starts for Jack Roush 1 season ago. Cindric running the full schedule between the 60, the 12, and he'll also pilot that 22 from time to time.
Yeah, just such an interesting dynamic. I've never seen that before. So I guess the folks at Ford are, trying to work all their options to keep their drivers racing all season long, and great opportunities for the drivers.
Great battle here. Position. Yeah, great battle late in the race. Spencer Gallagher's figured out the high lane. Chase Briscoe down on the lower side, trying to get around Spencer.
Harvick now more than 4 seconds in front of Christopher Bell in second, but Logano is there trying to grab the runner-up spot.
He is, and I think Christopher running the outside lane for such an extended period of time in turns 1 and 2, which we see Joey up there now as well, so maybe there's a little time for both of them to be had, but I gotta think that's been a little rough on his tires for the amount of time he's been up there. Basically this entire tire, the entire tire run, it definitely is hard on him. So whereas Kevin's been right around the bottom, very disciplined, I think he has a little more longevity, a little more life in his tire, whereas I think Christopher and Joey have been pushing very hard and are probably on their last leg here with what they have left.
Adam, you said earlier Kevin just sort of teasing Christopher Bell with his pace. He was teasing me too. I thought Bell, and Logano, look how high Bell is into the wall. Bell got over the cushion, drug his right side on the outside wall, but kept the pace.
Logano gets by him here. He'd be running second. Penske's never won at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Xfinity Series 4 times. They've been a runner-up, including 3 of the last 4 seasons. Looks like it might happen again here today. Logano inside of Bell. He's now second. 5 to go for Kevin Harvick, who is out front and in command.
Just hope that Christopher Bell didn't cut a tire. That was a lot of contact into the outside wall right there. And scrubbing that right rear fender, Chase, he could get it in on that tire and have a flat here late in the going.
He definitely could. There's not a lot of room between the fender and the tire nowadays. Just trying to maximize all the aerodynamic advantage you can find. It looks like he's in good shape. I don't think he got it that hard. He did a good job of keeping the right front off the wall and kind of leaned up against it with the right rear. I think a lot of times when you see the right front slap into the fence, that's where a lot of your damage comes from. So I think he'll be okay. Lost a position, but at the end of the day, for his sake, running the full season, second or a third behind 2 Cup guys, not a bad day for Christopher either way.
Only 4 cautions here today, 2 of those coming at the end of stage 1 and stage 2. And Kevin Harvick does not want to see a 5th. Across the start-finish line, 3 laps away from his 5th win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and he's trying to put Kyle Benjamin a lap down. He's currently scored in 8th in that 18 machine.
That's when you say to your team, we did a good job today. We got a good top 10 finish. Oh, yeah, but that one guy lapped us late. That was a little bit of a disappointment. But Benjamin has been really solid on the 1.5 miles here at Atlanta. Nice pace for that young man.
Still 2 laps to go, though. You never know what's going to happen, a caution or anything. So I'm coming from the other side of the spectrum, being a driver, and you have a lead like this, the race is never over until it's over with, and we all know that's what Kevin Harvick's thinking right now.
He wants to see that white flag, right?
There is no doubt, but he has done a great job today, showing exactly how to get around this racetrack the right way.
Harvick off of turn 4. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. A lot of attaboys inside the top 10. Guys like Bell, Nemechek, Cindric, Benjamin, Ryan Truex. But no one had anything for Kevin Harvick. Strong effort for the 98. He has done it again. For the 5th time in his career, Kevin Harvick is a winner. He does it today at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us. Thanks for all you do for all of us. Appreciate this opportunity. Everybody at SHR, thank you.
Yeah, great job to their whole team. I actually had a chance to work with Richard Boswell there. He was at one point in time at JRM. It looks like Kevin must have liked what he saw, bringing him over there and having him on his car today. And they did a great effort controlling the race, doing exactly what they need to do, not running too hard. Kevin knowing that experience never hurts, right? So kept himself in the right spot all day, no mistakes, and perfect execution.
Logano did finish 2nd. 5th time for Team Penske as a runner-up at Atlanta. Bell stayed on track, able to bring it home 3rd. First start for John Hunter Nemechek, huge success. He was 4th despite some problems and at one point being a lap down. And Elliott Sadler, the veteran, 5th here this afternoon.
Pretty impressive that he's got enough tires to do burnouts with, right? After slipping and sliding like he was.
I think he was slipping and sliding just a little less than everybody else today. He made it look easy.
Kevin Harvick, 3rd on the all-time wins list.
Let's have a pizza party. What do you say, Adam?
I think that's a good idea. This is the 47th time in his career that he's going to pull into victory lane in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Full post-race coverage on the way, live on FS1. Part one of our NASCAR doubleheader in the books at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The trucks are on the way. This first race all about Kevin Harvick. Harvlanta, is that what we're calling it? 5 wins here, the most all time. He's now won 4 of the last 6 races. He's won with 4 different teams here. And that ties Tony Stewart for most wins with a different team at a single track. Tony did it at Daytona. Ironically enough, one of those wins for Smoke coming when he was driving for Kevin Harvick. Today goes to the veteran, Jamie.
And the Busch beer flies. His 5th win in the Xfinity Series here, Kevin. 4 different teams, rule changes, different years, younger drivers, yet you continue the domination. How do you do it?
It's just been a really good place for me, and obviously getting my first Cup win here and being able to run good cars throughout the years, and the racetrack has stayed very similar to what it's been for a number of years, and I think as you look at the techniques and the things that I do in the car, and they give me what I want in the car as far as the feel, and it just applies here. So it's been a great racetrack for us. I was frustrated last year here. We didn't leave here with a trophy. Sorry. We didn't leave here with a trophy on either day, and that's always our goal is to win one day. We just got to thank Hunt Brothers Pizza, Fields, Haas, Ford, Jimmy John's Busch, Mobile One, Morton Buildings, Textron Off-Road, Ollie's, Liftmaster, everybody who puts all this effort into this Xfinity program. Last year was our first race here together as a team and on the racetrack. It was our 2nd race total. Cole ran Daytona, so they've done a great job at Stewart Haas Racing. Got to thank Gene Haas and Joe Custard, Fred and Bill, Dembesti and Biaggi, and everybody who works on this thing. It's a great day.
Kevin, coming into this race this year, everybody's talking about the pit crews. A lot of nerves about the new choreography, being down a man. They're saying in Cup, if they get 16 seconds, they'll be happy. Your pit crew today will be with you tomorrow. They nailed it today, 14.4 seconds. What kind of motivation does that give you going into tomorrow?
Well, the good thing is they've had a lot of reps, and we had Clash reps. We had reps in a qualifying race, Daytona 500. They pitted on Saturday last week. They pitted on Saturday this week, and they're just doing a really good job. Those guys are pretty athletic, and they practice hard and have done a great job over the last couple years of getting his car on and off pit road. So as long as I don't screw it up going too fast, they do really good making the pit stops.
Well, Kevin Harvick gets NASCAR win number 98 in the 98 car. Regan?
Well, Joey Logano looks on to that interview with frustration. Your 3rd consecutive 2nd place finish here. You're oh so close to getting the captain, Roger Penske, his first win in the Xfinity Series here. Could you have done anything different today?
I don't think we were even close. Kevin played with us all day long. He just kind of rode along out there and ran a few hard laps when he needed to, and then get enough distance, and then he'd chill back out. But yeah, Kevin's just really good at it. It doesn't matter what car he's driving or what. He's just really good at Atlanta, and apparently we're second best to that. But a decent run for Discount Tire Ford. His 2nd just always stings a little bit, but yeah, I don't. I don't know where he's faster. I mean, he's faster all the way around Atlanta is what I figured out today. There's not one spot. He's able to go when he needs to, and he's just good at it. Cup cars, Xfinity cars, he's just really fast. So, congrats to them. They deserve it, and we'll keep our heads down and keep working hard.
So close for Joey Logano. Adam, race car drivers are never happy with 2nd place. Usually that's worse than finishing 10th to us.
Regan, the scoring monitor said 4.17 seconds. Joey Logano said it wasn't even close. Kevin Harvick dominated here today.
And what did you take from today? I mean, how do you just know how he does it, what he does, but you can't emulate it, you can't do it yourself? Tomorrow, you get to chase him again. I hope you have better luck tomorrow than these guys did today.
I hope so too. Thanks for having me today, guys. It was a fun afternoon, watching Kevin. The thing about him is we all know what he's going to do before we even get here, right? So it's just so hard to be able to come to the racetrack, know what a guy's going to do, and him still beat you at his own game. So hopefully we can figure it out tomorrow, and we'll at least give it our best shot. So.
We said it on more than one occasion, how difficult this place is for 250 miles. Double that tomorrow. How do you get yourself ready?
Well, I just think, the teams and the pit crews really have to be aware as well, because, you're doubling the amount of pit stops. We have more sets of tires on pit road to run through, so you're going to see a lot of pit stops tomorrow if we have cautions. We saw Kevin Harvick's team is really fast, so I know our number 9 Napa team has been working on pit stops too, so we're going to go to work tomorrow and try to keep up with those guys the best we can. We weren't the best this afternoon, so we're going to go to work tonight, think about it, and hopefully just put together a solid race tomorrow.
You ready to muscle it up tomorrow?
Like we'll try my best.
Thanks once again. We'll see you on track tomorrow. NASCAR on Fox. Let's go back downstairs to Jamie.
Well, Christopher Bell needed a solid run today after crashing out early last week, and a heck of a run it was for you. Your first time in an Xfinity car, you bring it home third. What's your takeaway after racing with Joey and Kevin?
These guys are really good. That's what I can take away from that. I don't know, our Rude Camry was really fast. I just wasn't quite good enough to get up there and run with the 98. And then I felt like me and the 22 were pretty equal. At times I'd be better, at times he'd be better, and probably just used it up a little bit too much on that last run. But I hope all the fans out there enjoyed watching on their Xfinity X1 app, and tune in next week for a good one at Vegas.
Thanks, Christopher. Regan?
Jamie, I don't know if any driver passed more cars today or looked better out there today than John Hunter Nemechek in his first ever Xfinity Series race. Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, it was a long day for sure. First of all, I have to apologize to Cole Custer. Didn't ever mean to get into him off of 4 there. I got tagged from behind and sent down into him, and it sent him spinning. So sorry to those guys, but overall a really great day for our Fire Alarm Services Chevy. Have to thank Chip for giving me the opportunity and Fire Alarm Services for coming on board this year. It's a successful day. I think I told you earlier if we could run top 5 today, I'd be happy, and we definitely passed a lot of cars. It was a really fun learning day. Shiplet and I think have hit it off pretty good so far and making adjustments on top of the box and improving the car as the race went on. So have to give it up to all those guys. They brought one fast piece and it made my job a little bit easy, but it was a lot of fun being able to rebound from the back to the front. Just had to be patient. I wish that there would have been a caution there and we could have came and got tires. I don't know what we could have had for those top guys. They were really fast, but I definitely think that we could have given them a run for their money.
A good run for John Hunter Nemechek. Over my shoulder, Joe Nemechek is actually here, a proud dad, a big day for this family. John Hunter's mom and sisters both in Texas at a cheerleading competition. They didn't get to see it. Nonetheless, a great day for him. Shannon?
Thank you so much, Regan. Front row Joe down there giving his kid a little bit of credit for, I mean, Kevin Harvick led the most laps, but I think when you look at who made the biggest statement, you got to say John Hunter Nemechek. He had the issues early and was able to come back and finish 4th.
Yeah, and just think about this. He had never been in an Xfinity Series car until the track opened for practice yesterday. So I think we're going to be talking about him a lot this year as he runs a limited schedule in that 42 car.
What's it like for a crew chief setting a car up for a guy like Kevin Harvick who knows exactly what he wants?
Well, that part actually is pretty easy, but then you get scared. I think maybe I'm the only one that can screw this deal up, but they were absolutely flawless on the racetrack and on pit road today.
We knew he was going to be. We knew Kevin Harvick is so good at Atlanta, and of course, he'll probably do it as soon as the Cup race gets underway. Remember, we're in the middle of a double duty. We have the Camping World Truck Series from Atlanta immediately following Race Hub Weekend of You, which is coming up next after the break.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.